Well, I bet 10 seconds has gone by, so I can start. What do you guys think? Are we ready to go? All right. So welcome. This is going to be a really fun forum. This is your chance, Spirit and Sustainability Community Forum, where we all have a chance to talk if we want, share some thoughts, some important thoughts. Before we get into the sharing part, though, I would like to provide a few little notes of background and then kind of talk a little bit about how we're going to do the sharing part. So Spirit and Sustainability Community Forum. This year, we're saying embrace disruption, accelerate transformation. And as we've heard in many of the sessions before this particular forum, we are in a state of we're in a very transformative state with respect to energy and social justice and environmental crises. And so this is a really important time to focus and act. So the agenda today is, I'm going to just say a few words, and then my co-host Elaine Hebert is going to talk a little bit about the Spirit and Sustainability connection, and then we're going to turn the podium over to all of those in the audience who would like to share some thoughts, and then we'll loop back toward the end and refresh our minds on, you know, what might be next, what should be next. Okay, next slide. A little bit of history. This Sustainability Forum has been going on for almost 25 years. It was started by Barbara Harwood and Don Aiken and carried on by Arlo Stitt. And I hope that Don and Arlo will be joining. That would be absolutely awesome. So the intent is to step back and share our personal life stories, work life stories, and to kind of discuss what's next, where are we going, and kind of go at this from a little bit more of a personal level than typically our technology sessions go into. So the next slide, please. I want to just mention a few things about the host of this session, which is the ASES Sustainability Division. So we have sort of three major goals, as you can see up here on the screen. Accelerate the energy transformation by providing a community platform for easily sharing innovative information with an ever-growing solar citizen movement dedicated to individual and group actions that help shape renewable energy and sustainable living policies and actions. That's a lot of words there, but I think you get the idea. We want to have a wonderful transformation on all fronts to a better world for all. Second, we definitely want to expand the sustainability professional and volunteer workforce through educational opportunities and mentoring activities. And finally, we want to encourage individuals to act toward a more peaceful, sustainable, environmentally friendly, and just world. So those are the goals, and we invite all of you that are out there as attendees to think about joining the Sustainability Division and help us get even more creative and more successful in all of our activities going forward. We are, again, the ASES Sustainability Division. Just jump on the ASES website and go to our community, and go to divisions, and there you'll find us, and we'd love to have you join us. Or just send an email to Elaine or me, and we'll get you going. Next slide. So this is, I just want to highlight some information that we published in the last Solar Today, which should be on your doorstep, if not already inside of your office or your home somewhere. It was just a reminder and summary about how we are in this very transformational, disruptive, difficult time for all of humankind. And kind of the bottom line slogan is envision, focus, and act. And I invite you to pull that out and take a look and see if it resonates. And if it resonates, send me an email and I'd love to discuss it more with you. So before we get into the questions, Elaine, how about a few words? I think the next slide, does it say something about, well, that's going to be when we get to the questions. So maybe we can, I'll quit the slideshow so you can all see Elaine. You want to quit the slideshow so we can see Elaine better? And
hello. So I thought it would be nice to step back and define, in a sense, the connection between spirit and sustainability, just kind of to get us all on the same page. So this is my view. This is what I came up with in my attempt to articulate this connection. So describing spirit, your spirit is your energy, your attitude and outlook, and an inner light that stems from the very core of who you are. It has an element of spirituality. And one of the characteristics of spirituality is seeing and acting in the world for purposes beyond yourself, how you relate to others, how you offer service to others. In some people's view of spirituality, the purpose of living, the purpose of a human being is to serve others. And in my view, it's serving others without being a martyr. It's seeing that your own basic needs are met, and it involves staying healthy, physically, mentally, and emotionally, so that you can best serve. Sustainability is a philosophy of maintaining and preserving our living environment for existing living things and for future generations. Again, it's looking beyond yourself and looking out for other people and other beings whom you may not know personally, but you value their existence as much as you do yours. It implies, again, a healthiness in spirit and in attitude and outlook.
that was wonderful, Elaine. Thank you very much. So if we could put on that slide again with the instructions about how we're going to be sharing, that'd be great. So here are the questions that we have posed. Your comments don't have to exactly answer these questions, but you kind of get the idea. What can we do together or as individuals to ensure the current global pandemic doesn't slow, but accelerates the transition to a renewable energy world? What can we do better to integrate and connect all of the concerns we have about social, economic, and racial injustice with our ongoing efforts to improve access to clean air, clean water, and clean energy for all? So the way this is going to work is you as an attendee, you will have the opportunity to speak for 2 minutes, and you're probably wondering, how are we going to know you want to speak? Well, down on your attendee, where the little thing you see on the side, there's a hand raising option. So raise your hand if you want to be allowed to, or have the opportunity to speak, and then we will click on you and make sure you can actually speak and share your thoughts to us in your own words. That'll be really great. We want to make sure that as many people as possible have a chance to speak, so we are limiting your comments to 2 minutes. Carly Rixam will be doing a timer on her phone, and we'll show you their time is over, and also give you a verbal cue like, hey, 2 minutes, all done, wrap up. And we're serious. We definitely want to give as many people as possible a chance to talk, because that's kind of the way the Spirit and Sustainability Forum has worked throughout the years. Again, the idea is to have a lot of really great sharing and thoughts here. This is your special place, for this conference.
So I'm seeing John Burke has his hand up first.
Oh, well, let's see.
I also want to let you know Orlo Stitt is on. if we
Yeah,
want to
and
hear from Orlo
thank
at
you. And I saw Arlo's. I think we can take these questions off, Carly, so we can get more faces instead of words. And we can, Arlo, if I think we should give you the first chance to speak. If you want to let us see you, you can open your video, but you don't have to. Arlo, you've got the floor for a couple of minutes.
You have to turn your mic on. You have to unmute yourself.
Right.
Okay, we still can't hear you.
Yeah, it looks like he's unmuted, but there might be some other technical issues going on, so we can come back to Orlo.
Yeah, we'll definitely come back to Arlo. So you saw somebody with a hand up.
John Burke had his hand up first. Which one of us will give him the ability to speak?
I think, yeah.
I'm sorry?
Carly C will.
Yes.
Yeah, wherever you are on the screen.
Okay, talking is permitted for John Burke.
I'm going to unmic my mute.
Hello.
We hear you.
Hello, John.
You can hear me? Oh, good.
Yes.
I'm only going to take a minute and a half. Ah, there you go. So, what can we do together that will allow the pandemic to give us the moment to look closely at our situation in the world? And we've had a few months now to do that. What can we do to better integrate and connect with the social, economic, and racial injustice? How can we connect that to our efforts for a future? Quickly, we started 40 years ago as an anti-nuclear affinity group doing civil disobedience. We shifted, and a year later incorporated as a pro-solar corporation, and we moved to Maine and opened the Solar Seminar Center that is now becoming finally a community center for learning and sharing. And to me, that's the most important thing to do. And we were very lucky to connect with Dr. Comp. As we all know, he was a genius and inspired so many other people to go forward in the education and the hands-on experience, which is what we look at as the steps that we can use to connect. And my time's up.
One of our attendees asked that we put the questions back up.
Okay, that sounds great.
Second. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds great. Meanwhile, Arlo, are you back on? We'll keep trying you, Arlo, throughout. And
we have some other hands raised. We have Donald Aitken.
Oh, great, Don, wonderful.
Okay, I'm gonna promote him to a panelist, and then we can have him speak and share his camera, should he want to. Hey, Donald, can you hear us? Are you there?
You have to unmute yourself and.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Do you hear me now?
Yes, great, great.
I don't see my picture, but I guess it doesn't matter. Do you guys see the picture?
No,
we
we
don't-
just see your name.
Well, you all know who I am. I'm actually just coming in here, not addressing the questions, but to give a thank you to continuing this wonderful program that you all know that my late wife, Barbara Harwood Aitken, founded in the late 1990s. And I helped, then I was vice chairman of ASES, and helped get it on board for the first time. And Dennis Hayes and I and several others were the very first speakers. And it was really interesting. It showed that there was a real place to look into this, the spirit side of why we're doing everything that we're doing, not just what we're doing, but why are we doing it? What moves us ourselves? And it's been carried on. First, she and I carried it on as a team for years. And she died in 2015. And it was carried on after that. And I was so delighted to find that you two are putting it on this time. And it shows that it still is important to have those kinds of concerns, those kinds of thoughts. And I like now with your questions, the way you're applying it to the global pandemic and matters of great concern right now, where the answers go deeper than just the practical responses. So this is just a long-winded way without my picture, and I'm sorry that you'd see what what it looks like when you don't have a haircut for 14 weeks. But in any case, my heartfelt thanks to you and to all of you who are doing this.
Well, thank you very much, Don. I'm so glad that you're on, and we know that the spirit of Barbara is here with us as well, for sure. Okay, Arlo, are you ready?
Orlo, I don't see him on anymore. He might have left. Maybe he'll come back in.
Oh yeah, maybe trying to reboot. Okay, let's go on.
We have hand raised from John Richter, a policy analyst.
Hey, there's Don. Let's say hello to Don.
Hi.
Yay!
I finally found
you found the button.
I found the right button to push down here.
Yeah. Bravo. Great to see you. We'll stay on there. Okay.
I will stay on, and great to see all of you. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Okay, Carly, who's up?
We got John Richter with Great Lakes Renewable Energy Association. John, you here?
I am here, and I think I'm unmuted, but I'm not sure how to get my picture up there.
Well, maybe you'll find the button later.
Yeah, apparently that's the process here. So kind of answering question one here, I'd like to recommend everyone take a serious look at participation with your public service commissions with utility regulation. And the reason I say that is that if you look at the last 10 years, more than half of all the solar capacity installed in the United States has been installed by utility companies. So if we really want to accelerate the transition to the clean energy world, that's where it's happening. Now, that wouldn't be my first preference about who's going to own the solar and where it's going to be. Okay, not at all. But that's where it's happening. And the utilities have deep pockets. They have access to the lowest cost financing available. And they have the grid that you got to intertie with. And we will continue fighting with them about interconnect rules and net metering and just compensation and all those things, right, for behind the meter solar. But meanwhile, massive amounts of solar are being installed by utilities in giant fields. And while that's not all good, that's not all bad. It is mitigating climate change somewhat, of course. We need to accelerate it. And in reference to the second question, which I notice is also numbered number one,
I don't know how that happened.
it also addresses some environmental justice issues, because what we're shutting down by building utility scale solar is coal plants. And coal plants are overwhelmingly located in poor, underserved areas because it's easier to get them in there, or was 50 and 60 years ago when these behemoths were built. And it's the people of color and low income that are being blanketed in the soot and pollution that these coal plants are producing. And so I think there is a very real social justice aspect. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Those were really excellent, very excellent comments. So who's next?
We've got Debbie Coleman up next. Hey, Debbie.
Can you unmute You should be upgraded, so you just need to unmute.
Just so you know.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, good. I'm really slow with this Zoom and intimidated and everything else you can imagine
Well,
about.
we're in the same boat, so don't worry.
Okay, good. You all are doing great. It looks like you have a lot more practice than I do. And can you see me? Do I have to worry about that part too?
No, you can just speak. That's fine.
Okay, all right. Well, that kind of simplifies things. Anyway, I guess mainly with question number one, I'm feeling like we need to take this virtual emphasis that we all seem to be doing with the pandemic glued to screens, and maybe take the annual tour virtual this year, and to encourage the virtual part for lots of reasons. One is that maybe we can reach people that couldn't go, that would never even be close to a solar home, might be able to attend one now. And then the other thing is people who might want to showcase their home but might not want people coming to it, that we could combine those two and just encourage people to do it virtual. I think this is the 1 year you can, hopefully it's just 1 year, that you can really get away with doing that. And I guess as a starter, I think it's August 8th. Is that when the, I think there's a session, I guess it's for homeowners and organizers.
Yeah, we've got a National Solar Tour webinar planned for August 6th, and I have Narelle here with me, who's the director of the National Solar Tour, and she can actually address exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, that sounds fantastic, because as a minimum, I was going to say, if we could get the virtual address there, so maybe it involves a little bit of upfront with those of us who are interested in helping with it ahead of time, but to use that as the kickoff point. So
That's great. And I think Narelle is itching to say something because, yeah, great minds are in the same place here, Debbie. So go, yeah. Narelle, go, you say something about this.
Yeah, so Debbie, we are actually not fully converting the tour because we are still optimistic that hopefully we can have some in-person tours around the country, assuming that those areas are less affected by COVID and also can do it in a safely manner, whether it's social distancing, outside only, face masks or whatnot. But we are planning a fully virtual component as well. And so we are actually extending the tour to be a week-long event. And so we will have kind of a few different events starting on September 28th each day that leads up to the actual tour weekend, of where we will have a bunch of different virtual solar tours, solar homes. And because going virtual is a lot easier than in person for people to attend and not have to travel, we are really hoping to move the tour into the middle of the country and more flyover states so that they can have more exposure to solar that's going on, especially in like farms and like farmland, and then also rural areas. And so that is exactly our plan, what to do with the solar tour.
Super.
Great. Great. Excellent.
Yeah, thank you, Debbie.
Yeah.
And Debbie, I think at one point you mentioned that you wanted to get involved. And so please, and this is to anybody who wants to host a solar tour or open house, please email solartour@ases.org and I will get back to you.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Debbie. Okay. Next up here, we've got a hand raised from Marion Biddle. So I will go ahead and upgrade Marion.
So Marion.
Hi there.
Hi.
So I live in Philadelphia, and what I keep thinking about is that there's all these people, all these organizations and individuals who are donating tons of money to all kinds of things. And I am trying to figure out how we can get people who donate money to like have a nonprofit organization that then installs solar for people. So you could, if you wanted to focus on minority businesses maybe, and you would have a fund and you would install solar and then they would save on their utility bill. And it just seems like there should be a way to bring those two things together.
Oh, well.
Well, yeah, just
This is another new ASES program. So, hey, Carly, is Sarah nearby? Carly, Sarah could, or Carly, one of you Carlys can say something about the Zen program.
just promoted Sarah Towns to presenter. So Sarah, if you're in a safe place, you can unmute and turn your camera on and share some information about the Zen program and how we're bringing community solar to low-income communities.
Hi, everybody. What a great conference so far. Fantastic sessions. Well, we're just doing our best with the Zen program. It's been really, really fun. And our accomplishment so far is to be able to offer $20,000 in subscriptions to a local energy CSA that's going up. And it's also a regenerative agriculture farm called Jack's Solar Garden. So 10 households in Boulder that would otherwise never dream of having solar because solar installations are generally thousands of dollars. 10 different households are going to have access to solar. So that's our first toe in the water of equity. And also I wanted to echo what John Richter said. I think it was John Richter that said it a little bit earlier, just about the, you know, the utilities and building solar and how lower income communities are often located in locations where dirty energy is made because rich people don't want to live near dirty energy factories. And I'm teaching singing to a kid right now who's from a place called Commerce City here in Colorado, where they have a big oil refinery and the whole entire neighborhood smells like gas. And it feels like a big industrial park. And I've taught in one of their schools out there, and you just get and this kid talked about how he sort of thought he would never get out of this neighborhood and how him and his friends had a feeling that they would never leave. And it's just very visceral when you're there and you're with the people, what it's like to live and work next to a giant oil refinery. So echoing his comment, and let's all keep up the good work.
Yeah.
This is Elaine.
Yeah.
I want to add that there is a nonprofit organization that's doing exactly what you said, and they're called Grid Alternatives, and they're in several parts of the country. They're in California, and they may even be in the Philadelphia area. I'm not sure about that, but they specifically install solar on homes of low-income people, and in the process, they train people from underprivileged communities to have a skill, which is installing solar. And some of those people go on to become trainers, installers. They have their own companies. They can get skills, and then they can make a living. So Grid Alternatives is already doing that. And I think Habitat for Humanity does a little bit of that. I know they build homes for low-income people, and some of them have solar, and they help raise the skill level of the volunteers.
Doesn't Laura Rogel Solarize Philly, don't they also focus on training like low-income communities, the solar kind of aspects and renewable energy? I thought Laura Rogel also worked on that.
I think you might be right. If she was in this forum, we'd shout her out to say something. But
yeah. So what's her organization called?
Is it Solarize?
Yeah, I know Laura. She's with the Philadelphia Energy Authority.
Oh, yes, right.
Yes.
Okay.
And
good.
I guess, yeah, I mean, I know about those things, and I guess I was thinking more like you might have a whole strip of minority-owned businesses, and I know a couple people that are very involved with those. And they might be row houses with flat roofs that are sunny, and you get people to donate toward the solar, and then you could have education in the buildings with monitoring and showing solar, so it would sort of, just be an education forum as well. But anyway, I gotta think more about it.
Yeah, well, I think you can maybe chat more with Sarah offline about the ASES Zen program, which is trying to do some of that. So what's another person lined up here?
Yeah, we've got Robert Youngberg.
Oh, good, Robert.
How you doing?
You're on there. Good.
Good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right, and I'm going to try to turn my video on, but that's okay. You don't need to see me. Well, first off, thanks for putting this on, and Paulette, thank you for sending out the invitation. Really enjoyed the conference. Been active in solar since the late 70s, and it's just amazing what has happened over the last, say, 10 years in terms of solar. I was talking to friends recently that have been involved for 40 years. They said, did we ever really think this was ever going to happen, where solar would have such a huge impact? But I want to make a few comments here. In December, I was privileged to represent the International Solar Energy Society at the Conference of Parties in Madrid, the Paris Agreement. And thanks to Dave Renee, he graciously invited me to represent ASES. And it was, in a lot of ways, it was a very special, a very enthusiastic, inspirational, spiritual experience to be part of about 27,000 people that are there working on climate change and the Paris Agreement. And about 10 or 12,000 of those are actually governmental representatives of some sort, but about 17,000 people are there representing individual various organizations like the International Solar Energy Society. And of course, when Greta Thunberg showed up, it was like a madhouse of people and excitement. And he held a rally of about the Madrid officials suggested it was somewhere in a range of 500,000 people at that rally March. So anyway, it was very, very exciting. Couple takeaways there was that I think most of you have seen any number of presentations talking about the power industry, the regular industry, transportation of buildings and their energy consumption, and of course, CO2 emission. And one of the great takeaways was in the power industry, solar is really moving forward fast. The International Energy Agency was talking about 70% of the world's energy will be provided by solar by 2050. That's a phenomenal number. And then wind, another, say, 20%. So on that technology side, in the power industry, things are looking really well. But in the regular commercial industry, transportation buildings, we obviously have a long ways to go.
Thank you, Robert.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're limiting folks to a couple of minutes.
Okay, all right. So I want to mention one thing. Time goes fast. There's an excellent article, and I'll post it on the Q&A. Is that in Nature published one talking about the overconsumption is the bane of sustainability. And they really talk about the researchers dismiss the idea that green growth and sustainable growth are described as a myth, and technology is not enough, but energy conservation and, well, this conservation, all resources are the critical part. I'd rather go into that. I'll post it on the Q&A, and then you can look up that article. But thanks again.
Oh, that's excellent, because that's a very critical thing to keep in mind. The sustainable living or the consumption side is critical. So yeah, Carly, who's up next?
I was going to mention one other thing. I think you know the people in developed countries typically consume about 10 times more resources than people in the least developed countries. Just to give you a feel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Robert. Really good.
Got Marlene Brown in the house.
Hey, Marlene, come on in. She knows how to even show herself.
She just did
Hi, everybody. So this is a great question. And so I'm going to answer question, they're both question number one. I like that. So the first one, what can we do together as individuals to ensure the current global pandemic doesn't slow but accelerates the transition? So I'm just going to use my own personal story that, when the world fell apart and we got COVID, I really wanted to understand what was happening in my own community. And I volunteered for the last 3 months. In fact, I had my last day a couple days ago with the Emergency Operations Center for the city of Albuquerque, which is where I live. And so I was able to help do some strategic planning and help with their mass sheltering plans and their recovery plans and their all sorts of different things, because I wanted to be part of it in the conversation and helping with what's going on. And that's what we need to do in general, is be part of the conversation. We can use this pandemic as an opportunity to pivot everything in our lives. When people are finally, maybe they'll never wake up, but lots of people are waking up, and we need to have, this is a time where we can influence what's happening. And why not include clean energy into the mix? Why not put it into the conversation everywhere we can? This is a time people can get on boards, on different kinds of boards for different organizations, volunteer or get paid to do this, and be part of different, different community, work with different community partners. I do it all the time. I'm on all sorts of boards, and I always try to influence the conversation. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. Just get out there, keep talking about it, and also, walk the walk.
Thanks, Marlene. That was actually more than 2 cents worth. I'd say maybe at least $1. Okay, who's up next?
Yeah, we've got Pooja up next. Pooja, can you hear us and speak?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, this is Pooja here, and everyone on this panel has shared some great thoughts. I just wanted to mix a couple of them and add to them. When I first read these questions, the first thing that came to mind was that the impact of the global pandemic has been seen around the world, and it's not just affected our healthcare, but it's also affected our economy and brought up a lot of social issues and underlying systemic issues that we need to address along with this pandemic. And we've seen governments respond to these immediate crises, but sometimes we feel like they're losing sight of the longer problem, which is the looming climate crisis and all the underlying systemic issues that are in our different institutions and healthcare and infrastructure. So I think we need to use this time to advocate for policy which is long-term and creates more sustainable and resilient infrastructure and technologies, and helps address those systemic issues along with this current crisis that we are in. And the other thing that I wanted to mention was that we've seen that during a crisis, be it coronavirus crisis or a climate change crisis, people of color and minorities are the ones who are disproportionately affected. And so we need to take this time to not only make our policies central to people of color and in a way that it addresses some of the challenges that they face, but we need to bring them into the conversation in a way that they are able to lead these conversations along with the experts who are already doing that.
Thank you. Well, that's a very, very excellent thoughts to add here. Okay, Carly, what do we got going?
Great, we've got Lucy Stolzenberg.
Oh, Lucy.
Here.
Hi, it's so nice to see everybody. Or
Yeah.
at least hear everybody. You're not going to see me, not today.
Okay.
I think I'm going to address both of these questions, and that is that we need to vote in November, and we need to encourage everyone we can to vote, because the opportunity for change is there, and it's going to be so much harder to move forward if I'm going to go there, the current administration takes over again. We need somebody who is sympathetic, a sympathetic leader to human beings. And if we don't get that, we are going to have a very difficult time moving forward with clean energy. So it's part of the story now. And so that's all I have to say. We need to vote. We need to encourage others to vote.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lucy. I think we'll all second that. Vote.
Yes.
Vote your heart and conscience. Okay.
Okay, we've got Anna Fadden up next. Anna, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Anna.
So this is more, I guess, along the individual line, but on March 1st, poorly timed financially, but otherwise it's good. I bought a Chevy Bolt in terms of going all electric in terms of my transportation. I wanted to share a course that I signed up for called Radical Acting in Faith for White People. I'll put that in the chat box in terms of a link to register. It's 4 sessions in July and August with some small group meetings. I just feel like I wanted to deepen my understanding in terms of all the racial injustice going on. And also on the individual level, I do work in the solar finance field. Our company floundered for a little bit in April in terms of the slowdown in the solar field, but we are going. Sales have picked up and things are looking good. So I'm excited about getting more solar out into the world. So that's it for me. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, do we have somebody up?
Yes, and I would like to remind anyone that's just joined the session, all you need to do is raise your hand, press the little button at the bottom of your screen to raise your hand, and we'll allow you these 2 minutes to kind of answer these questions if you'd like. Next up, we have Nicole Young. Nicole, are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for offering this session. This is my first ASES conference, and I was very pleasantly surprised to see a spirit and sustainability themed session. So thank you very much for hosting it. What can we do to better integrate and connect concerns about racial injustice in our ongoing efforts to improve access to clean energy for all? That's the question I'd like to answer. You can't see me, but I identify as white, and you wouldn't see this, but I come from an interracial family. And right now, this moment that we're having in the US with all of the unrest due to racial tensions is really, I think, a moment to stop and reflect on the privilege that I haven't noticed in my life as a white person, that my husband can't relate to because he's a person of color. And I have many people of color in my extended family as well. And just thinking about how my life would be different if I had been born of a different race, and how that might change my experience of this pandemic, how that might change my experience of whether or not I have solar panels on my house, whether I can even contemplate buying an electric vehicle. I think that there's a lot of inner work that we can be doing right now, regardless of our profession or where we are in our careers, that will help us as a society to move forward in a more just and equitable way. And I would encourage everyone who identifies as white to talk to your white friends and family members about this topic. It is an uncomfortable topic, even for someone in a family of mixed races. And I can't imagine how much harder it would be if you don't have close friends or family members with an experience to tell you directly about how their life has been different just because of how they're perceived by the world.
Oh. Thank you very, very much. That was a perspective that I think we all need to hear, and really appreciate you sharing with that. Carly.
Yeah, it looks like Doug Shoemaker had his hand up, so I'm gonna allow Doug to speak. Doug, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I put my hand up and then I put it down because I'm instead of the philosophical I was just wanted to share with people some of the things that we're doing in our area. We've been using solar trailers and bringing renewable energy into the communities. Like there's a major memorial in place for George Floyd. And I've been coordinating that. We've got like 3 solar trailers there working. We're also doing some practical things of working with a Native American group north of the Twin Cities that are growing food for people and bringing it back into the community, into the city. And then we've also been working with another Native American group up in northern Minnesota who is I'm getting people that donate solar to me to find a second home for it. And I just got a 40 kW system this morning given to me. And we're going to take that and put it up in another Native American community up north. And so it's sort of a way to, maybe not talk about it as much as actually do some things about it. And we're, for myself and my group here in this area, we're, very proud of that. We also have a community solar garden. We've got a 0.5 megawatt in a community on the north side of Minneapolis, which is mostly Black. And we're putting another community solar, another 0.5 meg on a rural area. And trying to do a comparison between how quickly people sign up for community solar in the urban area versus the rural area. And those projects have gone on for a while, but it is moving forward. And it's, to me, it's just been really exciting to actually do some things to help people.
Well, thank you, Doug. That's a fantastic list of real actions to bring our different worlds together. Thank you.
Yes, thanks, Doug. Next, we've got Ron Swenson. Ron, are you there?
Yes.
Hey, Ron.
How you doing, Elaine?
How's it going?
Oh, real good. Yeah, I'm enjoying this. I've got 2 computers here, so I can keep an eye on another session while I'm. I'm one of those they call the butterfly, likes to check in different sessions. Hey, Don, I asked a question. Are you still down in Mexico?
Yes, I am, and I answered it in writing for you.
Oh, great. Thanks. Okay, cool. I look forward to catching up with you. You can call Mexico for free now. It's pretty cool. From cell phones.
We can call the US for free. You guys don't need to listen to this. But I raised my hand because I can't find the hand raise button down here. So when I get my turn, I'd love to address one of the questions.
Go ahead. I'll concede the floor to you, and then I'll pick up. You had something for a while there. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ron. It's your turn.
Oh, okay. Well, so anyway, folks, I just put a thing in the question, a link that I call your attention to, something that I consider to be really a kind of a spiritual thing, even though, I'm a techie, so it's hard to draw the lines there. But I'm very concerned that we're going to see in the next year or so, as a result of COVID causing the great decline in oil consumption, that has led to a decline in the rig count. Now, how can that be a spiritual or a personal thing? Well, I was in the 1973 oil crunch when it didn't come down to just a matter of money. It came down to whether you could get your hands on the stuff, oil, gasoline, and not having access to gasoline is likely to occur next year. It's kind of a whiplash kind of a response that's going to happen. You can read about it because my friend Art Berman wrote, I think, the definitive comments on this. So I think it is incumbent upon us, finally, after I've said this is coming for 20 years and more, that the brief interlude we had with fracking to bring the U.S. supply of oil and therefore gasoline up is over. And there are a lot of things that are going to trigger from this. And I would like to urge ASES to become very much aware of this and to begin preparing effectively for this in a disciplined way. It's not, we work on solar, we don't work on oil, but I think we're going to see this finally next year kick in such a way that it's going to be very traumatic for the American people. And we've already got, 2 challenges. The third one is going to be, I think, more challenging than the 2 we're facing now. So can ASES provide guidance to our membership and beyond to really take this one step further? The question here, the first question, is the current pandemic having an impact, and how are we going to work together with this? Well, it's going to go far beyond that. I think that this, like I say, kind of a whiplash, a boomerang effect that we're going to see, we really need to be on top of.
Thank you, Ron.
That's what I have to say for now.
Okay, well, let's talk offline about this is an important thing to have brought up. Thank you.
Sure.
So, Don, did you want to say something now? Or shall we?
Yes,
Okay.
I would, if I can address your second number 1 question.
Okay.
It's very clear that what we're doing already integrates the social, economic, and racial injustice issues. I mean, the disadvantaged communities are living in the area of the worst air, the dirtiest air. If they have access to water at all, it's not clean water. If they have access to energy at all, it's intermittent energy, it's unreliable energy. So we already know that that's what we're doing, but your question addressed the concerns. How can other people know that we are part of addressing those concerns? And I think it's really not known out in the public, and it's certainly not known by those communities, how incredibly important we really are to them, to their welfare, to their health, to the health and welfare of their children. We're really addressing day-to-day issues, but it's incredibly important for them to realize that we are all working for them in a way that's going to be extremely important for their own future and for solving their own problems. Certainly, we provide a lot of jobs with all of the renewable energy areas, but the clean air, clean water comes from our application of clean energy as well, and clean energy in areas that reach the communities. So I think this is almost a public relations issue. It's kind of overstating it, but I think we need to figure out how to have some kind of real outreach, verbal outreach by people talking to people, writing in the newspapers, op-eds, things like that, so people can really understand that connection better than I think it's been made now.
Excellent points, Don. Thank you. We're all on board with that.
I do need to say, just as a follow-up, you have 40 people in here, which is more than twice as the number that we've had at any of the recent conferences. Congratulations.
Woohoo!
And also, we need to be cheerful here. So if you have to wear a mask, we might as well wear a cheerful mask.
Oh, good for you. Thank you. Yeah.
Dawn, you may have missed the mask that Larry Kazmersky demonstrated to us at the awards banquet last night. Ceremony.
I tried so hard to donate last night. I did everything I could, and I couldn't make it work from my computer here. So anyway, does that still hold for today, or is that just yesterday?
Oh, you can
go for it.
Go for it. We're looking for more.
You'll take money anyway. Okay.
Anyway, he had a mask on that had a sun on it.
Yeah. And Don, if you need to mail in your donation, or if you want to call us and do it over the phone, send us an email, membership@ases.org, and we can figure it out over the phone, or if you want to mail it in.
Because you want one of these masks.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I contribute to you guys anyway. but sure, I'd love one of those beautiful ones. It's a special one.
Super. Okay, Carly, who do we have going?
We don't have any volunteers right now, but I would like to call out Dara Bortman. If Dara, you want to take a second to talk, your son with the College Climate Coalition is doing great work. So I don't know, Dara, if you want to speak a little bit about what your son's doing and kind of how you're supporting him and what he's doing at the college.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're a little quiet.
Yeah, you can be louder.
Yeah, hold on, let me move closer. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't planning on speaking here, so it's a good thing there's only 2 minutes because I haven't thought about this. I did just post in the chat the links to the calls to action for the conference, one
Wonderful.
for individuals and one for organizations, so that we can keep this great conversation going and actually come up with action items to move forward for a more effective and faster transition to clean energy. Yeah, I think if you weren't on the initial town hall, the opening town hall event for the conference, you should go back and watch the recording of that session, anyone who didn't make it, because all of the speakers on the town hall were really great. And I do have to, as a proud mama, put a shout out to my son and also the representatives from the Sierra Club too, I thought, who both spoke well to all of our responsibilities to sit and listen and bring in new voices to this conversation, so that we can bring more people into the conversation to have a bigger tent that makes more sense to more people, and hopefully move forward faster, because the people on the front lines, of course, of climate change are the most vulnerable populations, and our Black and brown brothers and sisters. And they realize that the clean air and clean water that they don't always have is important, is just as important as everything else that they're fighting for. So yeah, please go back and watch the recording of the original town hall, because that was an excellent way to start this conference and a really great conversation starter. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Dara. And we were actually, when we do get to the end of this Spirit and Sustainability, we will circle back to that call for action from ASES, which was inspired by you and Ari and others who we all share this very deep appreciation for connecting all of the dots, so to speak. I wanted to underscore the word listen, which certainly came out just now from Dara and certainly came out from Ari and others on the town hall. You know, our community is predominantly sort of whitish, very white, and also economically in a little different realm. And so, yeah, listening and really engaging is kind of front and center. So good to remind us about that over and over again. Carly, has anybody gotten inspired, or do you want to cherry pick some others who might want to talk?
I was looking for some names I know. I see Richard present here. I don't know if you want to share your thoughts. We've got Kea, who's been in a couple of our sessions. And let's see some other names here. I know. Oh, we got Orlo back. Let me
Arlo,
see.
yeah.
Orlo.
Let's see if we can get Arlo
here. We've got Pete Parsons. Pete, if you have any thoughts. Robert Foster, if you want to raise your hand, share some thoughts. No, there's some names I know. I don't want to
There's seriously, folks. There's no wrong answers, no wrong
Pete.
thoughts.
All right, Pete. Can you hear us? Are you there?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm Pete Parsons, and I'm with Texas in Texas. And we're hoping to be more involved with community solar. And one thing that has crossed my mind in the last couple of days is, as we are attempting to educate local communities about the advantages and the opportunities about community solar, particularly with co-ops and in rural areas. It could be possible that we could also help to educate folks in the area to talk to their local leadership about requiring, assuming they decide to put in some kind of community solar, that they require the folks that are going to be working on the project be from the local area. That could really help with some of the economic disparity, particularly in these communities that are small. So that's one thought I had about it. So, we have a lot of Hispanic communities that could benefit from this particular decision. It would require some kind of, leadership to request this. So it would be a challenge, but something I've thought about.
Excellent. Thanks for letting us know about that. It's great.
Okay, here I'm gonna ask Orlo to unmute, see if he can unmute and speak with us. Orlo, are you there? Might not be working for him right now.
Just to remind everybody who might have not been on at the beginning of this, the reason we keep being anxious for Arlo to speak is that Arlo, like Don Aiken, have been working with the Spirit and Sustainability Community Forum since its inception, practically. So we will keep trying to get Arlo on board. Okay.
We deserve to. It was Orlo who carried it on, actually.
Yeah.
After Pia died and I lost some of my gumption, oomph, whatever you want to say, for putting this on for a little while, and Orlo picked it up.
Yeah. Thank you. So
we've got another hand raised here.
Good.
Kaya, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, this is Kaya Sanan. So again, it's a wonderful conference. Thank you for bringing everyone together. Talking more about the first question first, we are actually in the process of doing a film, that's addressing clean energy, more with the, solar in the forefront. It's actually some of the ideas of actually Dr. Richard Press, whom I just heard, is on this also. And one of the things, like with us or with what ASES is doing, the things that I try to crystallize, in crystallizing ideas. I mean, I'm new to ASES, and I'm honored to be here. But the important things are, for the general public or policymakers to make things not be depressing. That is, especially when you talk about environment, it's so depressing, and I think people are so tired of it that we need to be very careful in how we craft it. The second thing is, I almost feel we shouldn't talk about environment, that it should be, because especially people who are deniers, they hate the word environment, and I feel like we need to hide it till it's time to talk about the environment, which might be the end of the message or once the transition to clean energy happens. The next thing is, I believe that it's important to, I think some of the sessions, this has been clear that people say it's not a technology issue, it's not a cost issue. And those are things that are not really known, and we need to push that and make sure that people really understand from the get-go that it's, all the solutions are here. It's not a theory. It's not going to be discovered, like fusion in 20, 30, 40 years. It's all here, but it's really mostly policy. And in that way, that's why I'm very interested in how we get to those policymakers effectively. And you don't get too many chances, so I believe that, we have to be careful with our message in that way. I also believe in, not preaching to the choir, that, we don't need to waste our energy, convincing other progressive people who believe in what we believe in. We need to focus on people who actually don't, and see how we get, to change that idea. And also like not ever mention myths, like, I never ever think about saying, oh, solar is not expensive. The moment you say that, people remember, they don't remember the fact, they remember the myth. They say, oh, isn't it expensive? If you ask them a week later, they remember the myth. So it's always never give the negative, but go for the positive. And to quickly in one statement to address the second question you raised, I do believe intensely all these things on energy, environment, race, energy, poverty, healthcare, all of these things are all close linked. And, similar to Hitler, Hitler's thing was, divide and conquer. Once all of these issues are separate, of course, it's very difficult to make change. But I don't know, at the moment, every group has to kind of get what they have, and then in the long run, we somehow link it together. But, American audiences are not too sophisticated, unfortunately. I mean, I don't want to talk down on it, but it's you got to grab one thing and go for it, but without pushing the other causes down. Thank you for the time.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Very, very, very good points. Yeah. So Carly, any new people?
Yeah, we've got
tired.
Marlene is raising her hand again. We got Marlene on.
Okay.
Here I am.
Hello.
Hi, can you see me? Hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. I put my video on, but maybe you can't see me. It's fine. I just wanted to respond to that and say, I think you need to, the best way to get information across is to talk to people in their own language. So if you talk up or down to them, you're never going to get something across. But if you understand where they're coming from and you can talk to them in a way that they can kind of listen and understand you, it'll make a huge difference. So it's really listening and then responding to the pain. And people, there's a lot more openness now. And if you can just communicate in their own language. The other thing I wanted to say is, I've participated in our going to the sessions for our state when they're talking about different bills, and you can approach different, you can approach your state and federal, senators and congresspeople and tell them that you want them to support a certain bill and then give them information to help them. A lot of times there's 10 million bills and they don't have enough time to look at everything, and they're going on what they know, what they can look at. So the more information you provide, you can be an expert for them. And I've seen it happen over and over again. So that's
Great.
it.
Excellent points. That's again underscoring this theme of listen and then maneuver your points in a way that will actually match up with somebody else's values or the things that are most important and disturbing for them at this time. Good points. Okay. Anybody else, Carly?
No new volunteers, but we got Dave Renee that joined us. Do you think Dave wants to speak to this?
I don't know. Dave?
Dave?
No, I just been sitting here enjoying everybody's comments, but thanks for inviting me anyway. It's great to see Don on the screen here. I do think this is an important session. Traditionally, our conferences have always been focusing on the technologies and sharing technology information across different researchers. And it's really important to step out and identify new ways to communicate. And I think the point Marlene just made and the points you've heard earlier about how we can't forget that even though we understand the technologies and we see the cost dropping and we understand why that's all happening, many people don't have any recognition of that whatsoever. And let's not be afraid to go back to basic principles when we talk to people and say, oh, maybe you didn't know this, but solar energy costs have dropped so much now that it's cheaper to put up a grid-tied solar plant than it is to put up a new coal plant. And just put it in very simple terms, because even our politicians who are supposed to be on top of these things don't have the time to really understand all these nuances. So as researchers, and as proponents of renewable energy, let's keep in mind that what we know isn't necessarily well understood or well appreciated by others, and don't be afraid to go back and start from something that may seem obvious, but actually is not.
Those are excellent points, Dave. That reminds me that those of you who were not on the policymaker interaction forum that just occurred before this forum, go back and take a listen. There were some really interesting points and ideas brought up in there about this very thing you're mentioning, Dave. You know, how do you even approach these people in a way that could actually have the possibility of changing stands in terms of the policymaking world. So anybody else?
No new volunteers. I did invite Orlo back in again, but we still, oh wait, I spoke too soon. We got Robert Foster on the line.
Oh, good. Robert needs to say something.
Oh, well, I just thought I'd chime in and say, I actually think this is the best session of the conference because you can actually hear from the people. Sorry, I don't know how to turn on the video. I just wanted to give a shout out to Don Aitken. I don't know if he remembers me back in the mid-90s in Texas with Russell Smith. Don's the guy who convinced me that grid-tied PV was really going to happen. I was doing all the off-grid stuff. So great to see you, Don, many years later. And, you know, I've worked a lot with, you know, overseas communities, trained a lot of installers, men and women. And, you know, my experience always was that the rural farmer got solar far quicker than the city dweller because they knew the rhythms of the sun. And it was much easier to teach that kind of person who lived in nature than you know, people who were kind of disconnected from it. So I think, you know, there's a lot to learn from them as well, and you never know where people will end up. You know, I came back later. I was in the Peace Corps in Dominican Republic, and was doing a big AID project there. I don't know, 15 years later, and went to one of the solar companies, and there was a young engineer, and he's like, Roberto, ¿no me conoces? And he was like, Robert, you don't remember me? And I was like, I'm Chavo. And I was like, and I realized he was a kid from my Campo community who had helped me put in little solar systems around the community. And he'd gone on, went to college, which is a big thing, became an engineer, and was doing solar. So you never know how you might impact people down the road years later. So anyways, I think my hat's off to Sarah Towns for getting this Jack Solar Garden going. I think that's going to be an excellent project for ASES. EPSIA, we used to do projects with the Habitat for Humanity to solarize homes, and we'd help fundraise and chip in on the technical design. So there's a lot of things I think ASES can do here in the future down these roads. So great to see you.
Thanks, Robert. That was and I loved your story too. That was a really sweet story.
I have a question, Paula. Where's Dave?
He was just online. Oh, well, I mean, he's walking around with his headset on.
Okay.
I forgot to put my cat's tie on, so I don't
Yeah,
so much.
He's got his comfy T-shirt on, so I guess he
and Pete just raised their hand. Pete, do you have another comment?
Yeah, I have one follow-up comment, and that is that there are a lot of cities around the country that are developing these clean energy policies or sustainable energy policies where they have to reduce their energy consumption by by a certain percentage by 2040, 2050. And most of those cities have sustainability directors. And I'm getting an echo.
Oh.
Looks like Orlo is talking.
Well, we got Orlo back. Okay, go ahead, Pete.
Anyway, if a lot of groups would approach the sustainability director on how community solar could have, some pretty significant impact on underserved populations as they work on these plans, that's one way that community solar can affect cities. So that's all.
Excellent. One thing we could do is remind everybody about the call to action, and then if we had another minute or two available after that, maybe some last thoughts from people. But I want to make sure we do remind folks about the call to action. So if we go to the last slide. So this is, well, actually, either the last or the call to action is similar for individuals, similar to organizations, but here you can kind of take a look. This is something we really want to remind everybody to please go online and sign. Carly's, it's on the, do they just go directly, do people go directly to the website and sign on there?
Yeah, you can go directly to ases.org/conference, the conference homepage, and from there you can scroll down a bit and we've got both of the call to actions, both for individuals and organizations linked there.
Right. So definitely want to make a strong encouragement for everybody to go and sign that. And we will be following up with people who have signed with different ways of perhaps working a little more successfully and creatively and more excitingly together on these. I want to see Elaine, Carly R, Carly C, Narelle. Do any of you want to just chime in here for some last minute or last end of session thoughts?
Yeah, sure. I'm really excited about kind of this next chapter of where we're going in involving, again, like the social, racial, environmental justice, like in all of our future kind of reforms and policy changes. I think it's been too long that we've kind of gone without incorporating the justices into like our policy reforms. And I just had a conversation with one of my best friends. I've been best friends with her literally my whole life. And, she went to school and studied like physical therapy. She has no idea what's going on in the environmental world. And she's asking me, what's happening with the movement and how does it relate to climate change? She literally had no idea. So, I'm sitting here trying to educate her on kind of this idea about how these white rich communities say not in my backyard, and then they put the coal-fired power plants, the oil refineries, all these polluting factories in areas with people of color, minorities, and low-income areas. And she thought about it. She lives in Milwaukee, and northern Milwaukee, Wisconsin is very low income, high amounts of people of color that live there. And she put two and two together and she was like, I've never realized that. So I think a big part of it is also educating the people around us and making sure they're aware of kind of what's happening in their own communities and in their own cities. So I think that's a big part of it is educating your friends and family that might not have studied environmental studies in college and being sure they're aware of what's going on.
It's an excellent reminder and a plug for reaching out to those people who are closest to you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Fruit.
You have anything?
Well, Carly, Elaine?
Yeah, I think a lot about what I can do as an individual to improve the world situation, because I really believe that we want to leave a cleaner planet for future generations. And I don't even have kids, so it's not that. It's just I care about others and their kids and other species and their offspring, and having a clean environment for them to go on into the future, well after we're gone. Anyway, I think everybody needs to do their little part, and little parts you create a big part, and so it makes an impact. So small, that's part of the idea behind Tiny Watts program that ASES has, is that we all contribute a little bit and it adds up. There are projects that I could take on, and I feel like I would want to commit myself to it, and I'm spread a little too thin right now. But an idea that I was just thinking about, is I live in downtown Sacramento, California, and there are projects nearby where people of lower income, and most of them are people of color, live. And there's plenty of space between their buildings. They're like 2-story or 3-story brick buildings with space in between them. And what if we did like a solar cooking thing and started showing some people who maybe have never seen how solar works at all? And I would love to do that, except I would want to commit enough time to make it successful. And this is what I fear. I would drop it, or I would just not have enough energy and time to really make it do well. And so that's one of the things that holds me back. But maybe others are inspired, and you have the time and energy, and you can take a project on and bring it to completion and have an impact like that. So there's my confession.
That is good. And I think for your penance, go out and find some friends to help you work on it.
That solar cooking class, I'd help you out. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. And you don't have to do it alone. That's the whole point of, I think, trying to, just to reinforce the theme throughout this conference is together we're stronger. It started with the town hall, and we just want to keep reminding each and every one of us to reach out to somebody that's near you on the screen, or
well, here's the ironic thing, is Solar Cookers International is headquartered, a mile and a half from here.
Yeah, and
their focus is international. I haven't looked into what programs do they do for people here. I mean, we could be doing that kind of project. I just don't know if that's their focus. So
yeah.
I can check.
You have something to add?
Yeah, I was gonna say, Elaine, if you want to do a quick little video of kind of quick rundown of how you solar cook in California, we can share it on one of the days leading up to the National Solar Tour.
Sure.
That's an excellent idea. Yeah.
We want to include for the tour this year, since we are doing the week-long event beforehand, we are including kind of all types of different solar.
Orlo.
Cooking.
Arlo, did we
speak?
Am I there?
Yes, you got it here. So you've got 2 minutes. You've got 2 minutes, Arlo. Uh-oh, I hope we didn't lose him again.
Are you there?
Yes, yes.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, well, I realize I've had all kinds of computer problems. It may be a Wi-Fi thing or something, but if everybody can hear me, I have just a few words. I hope it's within 2 minutes. Can you hear me?
Yes, go for it.
Okay. I'm Orlo Stitt, and I live in Northwest Arkansas, and that's the home of Walmart and Tyson Foods and J.B. Hunt and Beaver Lake and the University of Arkansas. I've been in the clean energy business now for 42 years, self-employed most of the time. I want to say something about the ASES conference and the spirit and sustainability session specifically that I've experienced over the years. I've been able to hear y'all, but evidently and see y'all, but evidently I haven't been able to be seen or to talk. Anyway, this is a privilege, and I hope everybody's
is still there.
Yeah.
I would like to objectively say to all the ASES people and the people there that the spirit and sustainability, and particularly ASES, has given me ability to persevere, stay focused, and get through the negative resistance of the public and the negative or false propaganda, the fossil fuel companies, and through various really difficult financial times. For years, I've attended the Spirit and Sustainability session, and it's been a wonderful experience. It has been a time to openly share problems, and I've been listening to what people say while I try to get connected. It's helped my emotions and my positive spirit, and I hope with other members also. And the same to relieve anxieties and problems, share problems. There were many times and periods that I think, and usually did not share them myself with others, that I thought that things were going wrong, I was on the wrong path, and that I didn't know where it was going. Should I bail out? Should I declare bankruptcy or whatever? Then for several years following the death of Barbara Harwood, as I heard Don Aiken talk here earlier, Pia Aiken, which she became as husband, as they were married as husband and wife. I was a moderator for several sessions, and I won't spend time on that, but that was a real privilege. The ASES has really empowered me to do some things that I really believe were beyond possibilities. We've designed hundreds of homes in 18 different states. Many of them have won national awards, like Energy Value and People's Choice and other National Association of Home Builder competitions. I've made various presentations at ASES. In 2017, 4 of us made a presentation on net zero plus homes. Our offices, 2 buildings, are both highly energy efficient. Our latest office is LEED Platinum. Recently, I've done the 3rd edition for my plan book, for my book, Holistically Green Homes, 18 Principles for Designing, Retrofitting, and Energy Efficient Homes. I guess I can't show it on the screen, but I was going to just, you can go to Amazon and see it in a Kindle version, or you can go to our website, thistitgroup.com, and order it either as a thumb drive or as a hard copy. My wife and I live in a net zero plus home in an energy plan subdivision called South Sun Estates, where covenants assure energy efficiency. My wife and I both drive plug-in hybrids powered by the sun. So thank you to ASES. Thank you for Don and Pia and all the people there, Paula too, Carly, both Carlys, and for the focus and the motivation and technical knowledge that ASES has provided.
Well, that was perfect, and I can't think of a more wonderful way to end this session than with your comments, Arlo. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks to everybody there.
Yeah, and so I think we're coming to the end of the session, and wholeheartedly invite everybody to come to the wrap up and also to the membership meeting, and most of all, go back and check out some of the things you might have missed. Is there anything else, Carly R., that you'd like to say?
When I think about spirit and sustainability, you know, I think about why we do what we do. And we all have bad days, and sometimes we need to come back to that. And, you know, maybe for you it's a purpose, or maybe it's service. So it's important to, you know, constantly remind yourself, maybe write that down and put it on your desk, so we can all remember why we're here.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Good point. Well said.
Yeah, well said. So with that, I think we'll close out our session and grab another glass of water and head over to the next
Yeah.
room.
Thank you, Paulette, so much. Thank you,
Oh.
Elaine. Thank you, Carly. Thank you, Noel, and all of our participants. We'll see you on the wrap up.
Yeah, definitely. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh.